If you go in with the attitude of, I'm not here to correct, I'm not here to try to teach them, I'm not here to judge them, I'm just here to try to understand them. So today we're talking about how to become a better listener. You become a better listener, then you're going to become a much better communicator. So if you and your spouse just can't seem to agree, you can't seem to get along, most of your conversations are bickering, arguing, or maybe it's not so much negative conversation, but just stale conversation. All you talk about is the bills, what the kids got to do, and you guys just aren't really talking like you used to maybe when you were dating. We're going to start dealing with communication. First thing to talk about is listening to understand.
So in a conversation or when you're communicating with your spouse, you can hear a lot of things, but how are you hearing? Are you listening, waiting for your entryway to input your own ideas, to rebut what they're saying? Or are you listening to understand the heart of your spouse? People who are critical in nature, who always looking for ways to fine tune things, if you don't know how to focus it, it can be very destructive. Most times people who are very critical, they have a hard time focusing and listening and really and tuning into the heart of the person that's speaking, because they're looking for, how can I fix it?
Yeah.
Where are they wrong? Instead of listening to their heart and what they're saying and being discerning of the conversation is happening, because that may not be the moment to start correcting, even if what your spouse is saying is not right, but there's a way of handling that. So
if you go into a conversation, even if you know it's going to be a difficult conversation, a conversation that usually leads to an argument, if you go in with the attitude of, I'm not here to correct, I'm not here to try to teach them, I'm not here to judge them, I'm just here to try to understand them. Because when someone feels listened to, then their defenses come down, and then they're willing to reciprocate and listen to you on the other end. So again, this is half of communication, but before you ever even spoken a word, just by listening correctly, you've already said a lot. While listening to understand, you also got to remember that it's not about you.
It's not about you.
And so when they say something about, I'm just feeling so unhappy right now, immediately you're thinking, oh, you got a problem with me. I'm somehow making you unhappy. Understand that your spouse is their own person. They're their own individual. They have their own thoughts and feelings.
You can't control somebody else's perspective. You can't control their responses. You can't control their feelings, their emotions, their will, or anything. But you can control yourself. If both parties in this relationship, it says, okay, you know what? We're going to control how we receive, how we respond, how we listen, how all those things. And you both come to the table with that attitude, your conversations will go way smoother.
Yeah.
But you know what? Both of you may not get on the same page at the same time. But if one of you is like, you know what, I can control how I respond, how I feel, start with you first. The other spouse is not on board yet, they're going to feel ostracized. They're going to feel by themselves, and they're going to begin to see themselves a lot quicker and a lot sooner.
The other end of listening is when it's time to respond. You respond with love. Sometimes that love is demonstrated by just listening and not trying to fix it. Sometimes that love is demonstrated by verbally embracing them and validating their feelings. Now, when you validate their feelings, it doesn't mean that they're necessarily correct, but you can validate the fact that you feel this way. I see that you feel this way. I understand you feel this way. And I'm not going to judge you harshly and attack you just for feeling this way. And your spouse has to have at least one person on planet Earth that they can talk to about how they feel. And you want that to be you. You never want to get to a point where you shut your spouse down and they don't want you listening because they know you're always going to attack how they feel.
How you respond and what you say can make a difference in how they will open up to you in the future.
Yes.
And so you don't ever want them to feel like they can't trust you or can't come to you. The last thing I want my husband to do is not come to me and talk to me. I want him to feel free to talk to me about anything and everything, knowing that I can handle it. You know what I mean? And like I'm going to not only have his back and cover him even when he's wrong, but also allow him to be vulnerable and have those moments that nobody else will ever see, you know, and not judge him and pick him apart and belittle him.
Download the notes from today's lesson by signing up for our mailing list. Just click the link pinned in the comments below and we'll send you the notes for free.